let's get back to talking about the banking space. We've seen 3-4 days of extreme weakness on the banking sector. Yesterday, a brokerage firm Macquarie met with the CDR Cell, and the takeaways were not kind at all. In fact, the CDR Cell, the corporate debt restructuring cell, pointed out that the stress in the system is not moderating at all. In fact, the restructuring proposals are unlikely to ease anytime in the near future. Let's get the chairman of the corporate debt restructuring cell himself, R.K. Bansal, joins in. He's also the head of IDBI Bank. Mr. Bansal, thanks so much for joining us. Just give us some details on how the restructuring proposals are panning out at this point. How many cases have been referred to CDR in, say, the first 2 months of the quarter, and how bleak the situation is currently?
Good morning.
Morning.
See, as you rightly pointed out, the stress has been going up, and we have been seeing this happening from 11-12 itself. So earlier, when we used to get about 20,000 crore worth cases, now in fact last year we got about more than 90,000 crore worth cases. But the point here is, I think, twofold. Plus, one is that the number of cases has gone up, but the second is each case size is big. So it is not as if only the number has gone up. In this financial year, in fact, the first quarter we had cases worth about 39,000 crore. The number was about 59 or 58. In September quarter, which is of course still going on, we have got about total about, I think, 29 or some cases, and the amount is roughly same, about 30,000 crore. So overall, we are not seeing the reduction immediately, but one thing I can find out from September figures is the number is also not going up.
Not going up. Mr. Bansal, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Lata.
Are you getting the sense at all that this is going to be the peak, that you will not see a repeat of this in the next quarter?
I am getting some sense, I think, but it is difficult to say. I would tell you why. Basically, most of the cases today which we are getting in CDR are basically from three sectors. One is the steel, one is EPC contractors, and mainly in the power side. And steel and power is a combination in most of the cases. So as you are aware, the reasons are known. Basically, some of the delays in coal mines allocation, some of the delays in financial closure or promoter contribution. So I think that part which requires changes in the policy which government has already done, but they have to come on the, I think, under implementation side. So that will reduce the, simultaneously I think the equity market also has to improve, because most of these promoters need some more equity either from private equity or from equity market.
What we are getting in terms of data is that fourth quarter of last year, let's look at it calendar, that's easier. Jan-March quarter, your incremental CDR cases was 31,000 crores. Then April-June quarter, it was 39,000 crores. And the July-September quarter, which is still underway, we are not over with that month, it's 22,000 crores. So I agree, the third quarter, calendar quarter, is less than the previous two quarters. But you may end up with 30 plus, you think, before September 30th is out?
30th September is almost known. Today we have last meeting anyway of September. So I know the figure. So it's basically about 30,000 crore. But the point one has to understand is figures in one quarter goes up or down basically also because of the fact that there is one big case comes suddenly. So last quarter, in fact, we had 3-4 big cases. This quarter we had only one bigger case. Otherwise, all were like in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 crore.
Okay. What about the specific companies, Mr. Bansal, that are approaching the CDR cell? I mean, some of these big infrastructure companies like GMR, GVK, JP Associates have not yet approached the CDR cell. But what's your view on where the concentration is coming from in terms of individual companies?
The three groups, I think, which you have referred, at least we have not got in CDR, and I don't think as of now there is any plan on their part to come to CDR. So it will be perhaps wrong on my part to refer to the individual cases. Only one group has referred, and which you are all aware, but out of these three, no one has referred as of now in CDR.
Okay. You told us, yeah, I think the groups you're referring to is Lanco. That was the power company that has enlisted its name. And there's, of course, the big Bombay Rayon, not in the infrastructure space, another space altogether. But, one of the sectors you referred to is SEBs. Will that come again? Because we hear that there is a lot of, there are still some problems with respect to the way in which state governments will replace the debt of state electricity boards. Will DISCOMs come in for restructuring at all, you think?
No, actually the DISCOMs restructuring, as you are aware, has happened outside the CDR forum.
Yes.
And most of the restructuring has already taken place, I think, except 1 or 2 states, which is still going on.
Okay. But they are still not paying, we understand. And therefore, will it mean that power generators can increase, can come into the list in the last quarter?
There are concerns on that, I agree with you, but I think after this restructuring of most of the distribution companies, they have started paying. I think even the case which you referred, they have also received money from UP and from other states. But there are dues, I think there are more overdues from SEBs which needs to be paid in time. Otherwise, there will be pressure on generation companies.
Okay. All this boils down to the asset quality pressures that the system is facing as a whole. And Mr. Bansal, you yourself in IDBI Bank have been seeing extremely weak asset quality for a while. How many more quarters of pain are you expecting to see? And for the next quarter itself, do you think your asset quality will be as bad as the 4.3% level you clocked in last quarter?
As far as IDBI is concerned or any other bank is concerned, I think the pressure, as you rightly said, is still there. And if you take together either NPA plus restructuring, the percentage hovers in the range of about 10% or so. So I think that pressure in September quarter, it has not gone down much, though there is a slightly lower side than June quarter. But I feel it will continue at least up to December quarter. So only depending on how economy moves about, how government efforts result into action at ground level, I think the NPA level we have to watch from that perspective. Otherwise, this pressure up to December is likely to continue.
Okay. Well, finally, one of the statements of the new governor, in fact, both statements referred to that the CDR scheme will be looked into, and I think Deputy Governor K.C. Chakrabarti is going through the mechanism or will go through it. Are there any changes, any tweaking? Have you all got already any directions to be a little more harsh with promoters bringing in their money? Any change at all in the last 1 month or any straws in the wind?
See, last 6 months or so, we have made a lot of changes.
Yes.
If you really see, we have increased the promoter contribution at 25%. Though RBI says 20%, we have made it 25%. We have also linked it to the exposure, so 2% of the minimum exposure has to be brought in. Similarly, the right of recompense we have stipulated, and in every case it has to be there. Thirdly, personal guarantee has to be there. I mean, all promoters have to give guarantee. Then we are also expecting that the full pledge of shares has to be there. Conversion into equity or preference shares, we are restricting very much. Preference is normally not allowed. Equity also we are saying only in listed company, and that to maximum 10% of the debt can be converted. So we have already tightened a lot of things. We are also advising many promoters to either hive off the units, to merge or demerge, or come out with the full tied up packages. Some of the packages earlier we found out they were not fully tied up. So we have already tightened up a lot of things. I think we have a CDR core group meeting also day after. We are discussing a few more areas. So I think we will take a call. We are also worried on this. But finally you have to understand that many of these weaknesses or restructuring cases have come partly because of environment.
Okay. Gas-based power projects haven't come yet.
Pardon?
Gas-based power projects. I mean, they're all operating at
gas-based power project.
Lanco is there, but any other?
One is already there. Yeah. I think one or two are already there in CDR.
Okay.
And one is part of this group which you referred. So I think indirectly they are already there. Two are already there. Ratnagiri anyway was restructured earlier outside the CDR, but they are getting some gas.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that, Mr. Bansal. Thank you very much for joining us with all these details.